게임은 재밌으면 된다니까?
불멸의 전사 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, to the next in arena. Right now, KT Rolster is up 2-0 in this round 2 telecom war in the playoff. We'll have to wait and see what SK Telecom's got planned next. I'm still leaning for one of those Terrans personally. What do you feel in GTR?
Yeah, I think it should be Innovation because, excuse me, last player, they've only got 2 players left, and I think Innovation and either Sue or Dark is... Okay, it's Dark.
Okay,
so,
well...
taking another Zerg out, I'm not really sure if this is the best choice, but the map is Overgrowth, so...
The map is Overgrowth. That's actually the most important part about this, which is why a Zerg was more likely than our Terran choice. Which is why I think a Terran choice would have been better on Dust Towers, but Dark is an excellent choice, and on any map, he will be able to defeat stats. If he does not, then I'm really worried for SKT. Like, if they lose Dark here, then they're on match point. So it's a scary, scary situation here for SKT. Stats is like, he's loving it. He said, go Dark. Yeah, we met once before. And Stats has nothing to lose here because even if he is defeated, they have a member prepared for Dark. I don't know who that's going to be right now, but we'll wait and find out. But it's very important, as I said last time, like if they keep trading 1-for-1, that's good. They already failed to do that. If they get Stats on his 3rd kill and KT Rolster is on match point, all they have to do is snipe one more win, and they take it. And now the boat's leaning towards KT.
Twitter World so C-Story. Now everyone wants KT to win, but Dark is one of those players that can definitely all-kill though, so they have to be worried about Dark coming out right now.
Absolutely. Well, Dark going to have to start that ball rolling. It is Overgrowth, historically somewhat a Zerg-favored map here, even since it was used in previous seasons long ago. But guys, we're going to go into game number 3 to see if Stats can continue the streak or to see if Dark can break it here in the 2nd round of the round 2 playoffs. Up here in the top right for KT Rolster, 2-0 currently on 2 kills. It is Stats.
And spawning here. 3rd player for SK Telecom T1. Can he take it back for SKT? It is Dark.
Dark.
We got the SSL rematch here.
That's right. It's a rematch of the SSL finals. The Dark did win very convincingly with a meta-changing style of using Banelings, Hydras, Baneling drops, and it really defined the way ZVP is played. We do see some players try to do old school, like BL last night, trying to play Lurkers a little bit more. As we got Baby down here at Pro League. Dad's a Terran player. We'll see if the daughter follows suit.
Always good to see family come here to the studio. You got to get your kids here when they're young so they grow up to be great Starcraft players. And nice block here from Stats with that pylon. It's going to block that expansion, but I think Dark should be smart enough to take that 3rd base because it's so close. Yeah.
What if the okay? So Dad had a Terran shirt. What if Mom's like a Protoss player? If the parents are like trying to, they have these conflicts as the kid's being raised. Does the kid end up being like, because the mom's Protoss, dad's Terran? Does the kid end up being Zerg, or does she end up being random? See, we don't know. Like it could turn out random.
Maybe the baby will be a race picker. That's the term I was looking for.
Yeah, it could be like Morrow,
It like plays like Zerg versus Terran and Terran versus Zerg and Terran versus Protoss.
Writes articles about oracles, I don't know. I'm not sure about that drawing, but
I really hate some of the fan signs because their Hangul is so messy. Because they're so used to like typing on their phones and stuff, so they don't have any idea.
That's me, man. I'm like, I can't even write numbers on the paper because I type on my phone all the time. When I started casting Heroes of the Storm, that's why I had to write like a lot more drafts down and do a lot more like actual pencil work. And I was like, oh god, I'm not cut out for this writing thing. I quit that in college. You see the Probe does continue a follow-up scout here.
Yeah.
Will actually be eventually killed by these Zerglings.
And Stats did cancel that pylon block at the expansion, so Dark is able to get his own expansion up there at the front of his base. And we see actually a unique wall here from Stats is actually opting to go for that wall off at the expansion rather than up his ramp.
Yeah. Now, this Probe's actually surviving quite some time. It's kind of funny. One more swipe will do it unless it regens shields.
We'll see how well Stats probe Jukes here.
It's all about the rally points, actually, because every time you turn is when the lane gets a shot. And actually, he's going to see the third base placement. Look at that.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Every time you turn as the probe, every rally point, every waypoint, I guess, to be perfectly correct on the term. Every time you waypoint, that's when the Zergling's going to get a swipe. So he actually has to waypoint very smartly there, and that's what we saw. The Adept is going to come over here and do some shade scouting.
Yep, it's going to be shading away, doing some recon for Stats, and you see here Stats actually getting for the early sentry. He's actually adding 2 more gateways rather than going for the very common Stargate or robotics play that we've seen so far in this matchup in the past few weeks.
I think he's trying to break the mold because that's what he was most famous for in the finals versus Dark in itself. He was going Stargates basically every game, so he's trying to really throw Dark off here. Now Dark actually is committing to Overlord speed. He already has Link speed. I'm going to check. I don't think he made an Evo chamber yet. He did not, so no drop potential here at this stage in the game. Looks like he just wants to pressure with ground Zerglings alone. There's the Baneling Nest, and the Evo chamber wouldn't be Dark without these two being made right next to each other at the natural every single time.
Oh yeah, and we see the work counts, 32 drones compared to 36 on Stats, so not completely all in here from Dark. As we saw in the SPL finals, the Baneling drops are only there to provide, basically keep your opponent in their base, and especially without the Stargate tech that Stats hasn't got, there's no Phoenixes to deflect these Overlords that will come into the base. He's only got the Stalkers and the Sentries for anti-air.
Yeah, and as this third base is being poised here, that's when the opportunity really strikes. Like, Stats is going to set up a few pylons here. He's going to get ready for the defense of this, going to get a little bit of a wall going on. As we see, +1 attack for melee comes up here for Dark. Doesn't mean he's not going to make a Droverlord, because I'm pretty sure we all know he is. Look at Stats' Adept position. He's like, okay, well, you could actually have Overlords over here looking to drop, and also I can come harass you with this. It's like such a smart place to keep your Adepts. I think, you know, it's a double-faceted reason.
Yeah, it's going to force Dark to either put down a Spine Crawler in the mineral line, or force these Queens to be, and actually he finishes Shade and he's got to pick up your drone field. Yeah,
interesting commitment here. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, especially because what I was saying earlier about like how much scouting information that gives of drops. It wasn't on the right side of the map for this drop that's coming over here, but still, like, there's actually going to be drops on both sides. Baneling's on the left, and it looks like maybe
it'll be Banelings as well on that
probably,
side.
Right? Like, it could be like a bit of a mixture.
He doesn't really have too much gas though, so it might just be the Zerglings. We'll just have to wait and see, but we see this first drop here on with the Banelings, and actually I think it would be so awesome if he decides to just snipe those Sentries, because remember, Sentries are light units, they're going to take more damage from those Baneling kids.
Yeah, he just doesn't quite know where they are right now.
Oh, well, he scouted it with the Zergling, and it's actually going for a round.
He could send it back, you know, he's considering it, but does decide to hit the natural. Don't forget, there's a second drop being loaded up, going to the main, and a good split here from Stats, only netting him 6 kills.
Oh, he's trying to chase these probes here, but there's just too many Stalkers. I think he should have just traded for the Stalkers, seeing those probes did run away.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he forced like a little bit more like lost mining time, but I have to agree with you there. The second drop is poised, and we didn't see it shown, but I saw 4 Banelings morphing, so it's going to be a Baneling drop as well. Yeah, 4 Banes in here.
Yeah, but he did see the Stalkers there positioned to deflect that Baneling drop attack, so he's going to wait a while until he uses it.
All right, well, he's basically being deflected here while his Lings are deflected at the third base as well, and this kind of begs the question, as we haven't seen Dark play, you know, very recently, because, you know, we're in playoffs now, and, you know, both Star League finals are over. And we have the cross finals coming up on in a few days, yeah. But I feel like when you look at this, it's like, has this style been kind of figured out? You know, is this always going to work? Is this always going to find damage? Like, or is sometimes you're just going to get shut down and only get a few probe kills?
I think what Dark needs to work with is the fact that Stats doesn't have he doesn't have a Stargate up yet, so there's no Phoenixes to hunt these Overlords around the map, so he can just keep those Overlords at the edges of the base and just keep Stats honest by keeping those Banelings inside those Overlords, and then just keeping Stats very honest, as I said. Try to think Pylon, but you have to cancel it.
I mean, that's just not worth it. Yeah, he loses 150 minerals, or rather, you know, it's 150 gets back out of the 200, so loses 50 minerals for that, but that's like less the cost of the Banelings, so you can just remake those. I mean, the threatening of the Overlord to the south of the main base is still there. My biggest concern for Dark is he's trying to go for like Hive Tech and Aspire right now, where Stats is adding a ton of gateways to getting glaives, about to have +2 Archons. Yeah, like can he survive the follow-up push? That's the big concern. And these run-bys can buy him some time, but it's not going to last forever. He has pure lings on the map, 41 lings. That's all he's got.
Yeah, and it gets to a point in this matchup where the Zerglings and Banelings pretty much get negated if your opponent has like way too many Archons. And 3 Archons is actually quite a sizable amount considering how many units that Dark has. He's only got this like handful of Zerglings here, but the splash damage is going to be good enough that Stats will be able to defend from any sort of attack that Dark decides to do if he does it.
And they are going to be +2 lings with +1 armor, but still, I mean, compositionally, this is a problem with +2 in glaives and all the additional Archons that are being added right now. Something I noticed too is Stats knew the second that Overlord that was going to the main got killed, he pulled even his Stalkers out of the main. He's bringing every unit. This is going to be a very aggressive attack. Now, this is not an all-in, but he needs to do damage with this. If he loses everything without doing critical damage, it's a problem. Look at the army supply. He's doubling the army supply of Dark right now, but Dark's making a ton of Banes. This is basically going to be decided by Force Fields and Archon hits. How much Banelings get tanked by Archons. And look, drops here as well to drop directly on top of the army.
Yeah, we see the Overlords with those Banelings being loaded up. And it's going to be this Dark control here from Dark is imperative for defending, because obviously he wants to force Stats through those Spine Crawlers, because that's where the damage is done through the Spine Crawlers as long as these Banelings. But you see Baneling drop here coming down from Dark, and only two pro kills. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it buys him a little bit more time though. Stats was focusing on that. Oh man, this could be a horrible engage here. Look at this
nice
force field from behind.
Oh my god, the force fields are so good there from Stats. And these Archons doing so much splash damage to these Banelings.
And look at the splits underneath the Banes as well. And Dark is in serious trouble here, GTR. Now repositioning his Spine Crawlers to the top of this ramp. Has actually been scouted by Stats. He could just try to burst them down. Looks like he's just going to opt for a big warp in for 2 more Archons, 4 more Adepts. And look at this, more Banelings coming down, but is it too little too late?
Well, and he's trying to remax here on Zerglings, but the thing is, the army composition of Stats is heavily advantaged to deal with these light units. You've got all these Archons here being morphed in from Stats. You've got these Adepts that just eat up Zerglings.
They've got attack speed and +2. Decent splits here again.
Oh,
nice pickups as well.
And he's done his damage. He's killed the 4th base. He could just run back and try and defend his own 4th.
He could even push for more, I'd say, but, you know, it's better safe than sorry in this case with all those Spine Crawlers that we had up earlier. But Dark is in some serious trouble here. And I'm telling you right now, the SKT coach is not happy because Dark is the one who beat Stats in a finals. He defeated this guy to become a champion. Impact failed with his plan. Dark is now struggling. And this is how KT Rolster wins playoffs, is through all kills and streaks. And Stats may be able to get this 3rd win. It's looking very likely at this point with his 40 supply lead.
Yeah, Stats is looking very hot today as we see a double Archon drop, picks off a couple units and just picks up and just runs away.
Yeah, he kills he's absorbs Banelings and walks out casually.
And then those shields regenerate, so you can keep using those Archons over and over.
Yeah, he's trading shields for money, and that's not something that Dark has a whole lot of right now with his lost 4th base. Stats has the forward 4th base as well, so he can actually reinforce and defend. This gold base is not long for this world. He's gonna have to cancel that. Oh, looks like 1 Zergling keeps alive.
The hero Zergling that Dark needs right now is we are waiting for those Ultralisks, or Dark's waiting for those Ultralisks to come out, but I don't think it's enough. I mean, we've got all these Archons here from Stats. They're going to do a lot of damage to those Ultras.
The Ultras are the only way back into this game, and he will have 5 of them, and there are only 2 Immortals.
Oh my god, these Archons.
And he just can't deal with this. He loses his 5th base. It's forced to cancel. Drones are off the line here in the main. There's a lot of Zealots in here as well, and these all have +3. And yeah, a few Ultras pop out, but he can actually focus one down potentially here, taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, it looks like Stats is going for the killing blow right here. Such a nice army composition from him. He's got those Zealots, he's got those Archons, he's got those Adepts, and this Ultralist isn't going to live too long on this world.
Oh man, this is just...
He's even got the Immortal.
Yep, he's got an Immortal here. The Archon's going to tank, while everything else does damage from behind. And yeah, the Ultras are pretty tanky though, and they do a little bit, but it's not enough. Like, there's just not enough units. And that's it, Stats takes the win, GG! KT Rolster on a 3-0 streak right now. Stats doing what Classic was able to do yesterday. And maybe a sneak peek of who they may have planned next. But I gotta say, when I look at this, I'm like, Stats, man, you let this guy get out of control. He's prepared such good builds for both players. The Dark Templar to mess up the specific strategy that Impact was going for. Then he's like, oh, it's Dark on Overgrowth. He probably expected this if he wins against Impact. He has perfect drop defense, as perfect as it gets versus Dark, gets ahead and does a big attack, and Dark just doesn't have enough ultras, too little too late. And as you and I were saying, like, it's all about the control where the Baneling hits go. The Archons were positioned perfectly, the force fields were amazing, and even with drops on top of the army, he split everything out of the way. And KT Rolster's on their last man now, and I think it has to be innovation.
It has to be innovation. Even though he did not do too well in the individual qualifiers that we had last week, he has clearly, along with Su, has been their best player in Pro League so far. He did have a rocky start, but he is in the top 10. And I also mentioned Su because he is also in the top 10. But Sash just wrecked apart Dark, and then before that, Impact. I don't think it's
and then
the
before
best
that, Classic.
yeah, I don't think it's the best idea to send another Zerg for Stats to feast on.
Yeah, okay, so that's what you're saying, focusing on the Zergs. Now, when I think about players I can get an all-kill,
I think only innovation.
like, I'd say innovation, and I'm going to say something that people are going to be like, I can't believe you said that. Myungshik. Innovation and Myungshik, those are the two. They can do it. That's it. Already he lost they lost a PvP with Classic in the first match. With the lineup of KT Rolster, if you beat Stats, you will face Zest eventually. And God, Zest just destroyed TY, his teammate, in the GSL finals. And that's kind of like the most recent games we've seen of this guy. Something to keep in mind later. Because when you put the fourth player out, when it's a 3-0 situation, you end up with this position where whoever you send out has to beat 4 players, so they've got so much prepared for you. But guys, before we go into what could be the last match of the night, we are going to take a short commercial break. We'll see you in just a few.